This is the Power Platform Daily Brief from Serum Audio. For Wednesday, June 19th, 2019, all you need to know about the Power Platform today in 10 minutes or less. I'm Brad Kuntz. Had the opportunity this week to sit down with Evan Chaki. He's the Group Program Manager for the Power Platform. He had a lot to say about the things coming up in the next wave of announcements for the Power Platform. He has a lot to say about quality and how you manage quality with the Power Platform, and then also he gives us his insight to what he's most excited about the current wave. So today we have Evan Chaki. He's the Principal Group Program Manager for the Power Platform, focused on the ALM space. Evan, welcome.
No, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we tried to hook up last week, and just a quick aside at the Business Application Summit. I think that you had a couple of the big sessions that are kind of out in the expo hall, and they were absolutely packed, right? And that's a good thing, right? And I was not able to really absorb your two sessions. They're posted online now. The videos are, and they were fantastic. But there was a lot announced last week about the Power Platform. People were very, very interested, and it meant that folks like yourself were pretty busy and talking to a lot of different folks. But what was of all the things that were announced last week, what was the buzziest thing that was announced related to the Power Platform?
Yeah, Brad, you're right. It was a very busy week. It was awesome to see customers in Atlanta. The one thing that I got lots of questions and feedback on is really around guest access. It's one of our top community asks over in the Ideas Forum, and it's something we've been working on for a while. We know it's something that people desperately need, and what we've done is we've announced a few things. So one is anonymous access and B2B, B2C via PowerApps portals. So it's a way to make a website and allow people to come in either anonymously or via if you have some business relationship with them. But the other thing we also put in the release wave that I got tons of feedback on and lots of clapping and cheers is around guest access for Canvas apps. So this is something that we announced in the release wave. We really haven't done too much announcements outside of that yet, but it's something that's coming very fast. In fact, in August, we're going to open up for public preview where you can create a Canvas app and then share that with guests outside of your company, either if they're B2B or B2C through Azure, which really means if I go and add, Brad, you as an Outlook email address into the Microsoft tenant, I can take my Canvas app, share it with you, and then you can start to use that app. So it lights up a ton of scenarios for things like business partners, even if you're a small company and you're working with customers, or if you're really large enterprises with tens of thousands of contractors that do work outside of your company's tenants. That lights up those scenarios where people can either on their phone or via the web browser start to fill out all the information inside of the Canvas app. And then I can have all that data right back into my corporate network and into my corporate databases, so I don't have to retype that in or grab pictures or have people email me attachments of things they filled out. So for me, that's a huge one. The model-driven apps already support this, which a lot of people don't know, and we'll make some announcements around that as well.
And that's in August, you say?
That's right. That's right. Public preview for Canvas apps will be in August. The PowerApps portals, I think we're going to have a preview fairly soon.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I know that was just kind of on the ground. That was one of the announcements that really got a lot of attention and a lot of buzz from the folks that I was talking to as well. I think another area that I thought was interesting is you've got a certain point of view around quality in PowerApps. I know we've got a lot of things also coming down the pipe related to quality improvements. But in a general sense, tell me, what kind of feedback are you getting kind of in the as-is world around PowerApps, and how do you manage quality right now?
Yeah, so in fact, a few months ago, we announced that Solution Checker is GA, and what that does is that allows anyone that's using Dynamics or CDS and you're creating solutions there to, we'll take a look at your solution file, the one that you select, and we will do some static analysis against that to look at things like plugin code and things like JavaScript and all the items that sit inside of your solution. And we'll come back with violations or things that could be better. So whether that's performance problems, whether that's a lot of times it's easy to keep upgrading if you're going from 4.0 to 2011 to 13 and all the way up, to forget that you're using older APIs that aren't as fast as some of the new modern APIs that we have. So we look at all of that and we figure out how your solution can be better, and then we send that result back to you. So for things that are out today, that's one big piece that a lot of people are getting value of. We're seeing traction pick up significantly since we've announced that it is GA. One of the other big announcements that we're coming out with very soon for that is you'll be able to run Solution Checker via a PowerShell script or via Microsoft DevOps or Azure DevOps, and that way you can just build it into your pipeline. So again, the companies that we've seen that are constantly checking their solutions are getting a big uptick in performance of their forms. They're seeing customer satisfaction go up. So that's really where we've started. We also have a few other quality tools kind of built into the product. So we have for Canvas apps something called App Checker, and this literally, as you're building your Canvas app, we're constantly looking at the app, trying to figure out, do you have accessibility problems? Do you have some best practice things that you can fix? Do you have some errors going on within your Canvas app? So we're being a bit more proactive versus once you've already created it, Solution Checker picks up. We have the same thing in Flow Checker. So inside of Flow, when you're making your flows, we'll let you know if there's errors there. So from a quality standpoint, we're really trying to build end to end, where as I'm literally creating my apps, we're going to give you guidance. When you're done building your apps and you're deploying those and you're ready to move them to the next environment, we're going to do another check there and start to bring in those Canvas app checker results and flow checker results also into your solution when you have your apps and flows inside of your solution. But then end to end from quality, we're thinking about, okay, what's the next steps? And we have a few announcements that we've made inside of the release wave. The next big one, I think, that people are extremely excited about is, how do I test my apps? So today we have something called Easy Repro. It's on GitHub. It's a download where I can start to write functional and UI tests for my model-driven apps. We want to bring that to Canvas apps where it's much easier to do, where I can just record my Canvas app and literally click through, type in fields, click buttons, and do a functional test and record that, and we'll bring that into a test designer or test studio where I can see all of those. I can kind of group those together and say, great, this is what a test suite is. I can name my test suite, and then I can run that from a URL. So as I deploy my app, I can try it out to make sure that those functional tests still work in dev or they still work in prod. And then I can get those results, whether they passed or failed. And I can use all the connectors that we already have to store that wherever I want.
That's great.
So those are two really big pieces of where we're starting. And then we're thinking about, well, what else do people need? So my background working with a lot of consultant companies and customers, I really try to think about, what do I need as a consultant? What do I need as a maker of apps to know that everything works end to end? The other piece that we've announced that we're working on is something called app diagnostics, and this is really, I've created my tests, I've checked my solutions, now I've deployed my app, and sometimes I'll see where where my end users are on different types of devices or they're having trouble that I didn't anticipate. And I can connect up to a session. So whether that's a session that's in Canvas Studio that I'm working on now, I can click a button and I can see a real-time trace coming off of the app, and I can see what the calls are being made, what all those network calls are, what it looks like, what's fast, what's slow, and we're going to try to give some guidance around that as well. So those are really some of the main pieces that we're focused on. The last piece is great. I built my app. I have my test in there. I've done some diagnostics on it to make sure it's working as I expect. And then we're also really for the fall going to try to come up with a way for people to give us maybe an App Insights key or some Azure login keys where we can start to fork off some runtime telemetry to customers, and that way they can do their own monitoring on the apps that are very important to them. So that way they can see what's happening, they can see alerting, they can set up Power BI dashboards if they want against that type of data. So we're really trying to think holistically, what do I need as a maker, whether that's a small app or a huge enterprise app that's shared with tens of thousands of people to be successful.
So in the app diagnostics, I think the number that I heard was that as you guys have been running that, you saw in some cases an 80% improvement in form load.
Yeah. So now that folks can hook into that network stream, they can start to see what things are running incorrectly. We're also seeing big performance increases with people that are running Solution Checker pretty constantly.
That's great.
So I think between those two things, you can really start to dig down into what have I done in my code that may be not as efficient as it could be between model-driven apps and then also with Canvas apps.
Evan Chaki, thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
That's it for the Power Platform Daily Brief. Power on.